this community support for where
Hello and welcome to Spare Change News TV. My name is Baltrusis. I'm the editor-in-chief of Spare Change News. Joining me today is the one, the only, Jimmy Tingle.
The one and only, ladies and gentlemen, okay? What's up, Brother Sam?
Hey, what's up, Brother Jimmy?
Good to see you.
So Jimmy was able to come in today. I'm really grateful you're able to come in.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks CCT for having us here. This is a cool station. It's so cool to be able to come in here, turn on the camera, and go, we got a TV show!
Ta-da! So were you able to find parking?
Yes, right out there. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the great spirits were with me. I found it right out there.
So if people know Jimmy's shtick, and like parking was always part of your shtick.
Oh yeah. It's always drove me a little crazy. I don't mind putting a quarter in the parking meter, renting out the piece of land for 15 minutes. What gets me is if you're 4 minutes late, you get a ticket for $20. Hey fellas, give us a ticket for a quarter, will you please? We'll gladly pay a ticket for a quarter. You know, where do you get $20? In the course of 4 minutes, somebody raised the rent 8,000%. And the thing is, Sam, it doesn't happen in other areas of life. If your rent is $500 a month and you're 1 day late, you don't get a bill for $4 million.
Right.
Come home from work, some guy's towing your house down Mass Ave. Anyway, I didn't mean to do the whole bit, but Sam got me going.
Yeah, well, that's your famous bit, so I appreciate it. So you've been a strong advocate for Spare Change News, and I want to thank you for that.
My pleasure, Sam. Thank you for taking over as the editor. You're doing a fantastic job. It must be very exciting to take over a newspaper and really have the leeway to make some changes and take it to another level.
Yeah, we really have really changed editorial, and I think that, I think I told you when we were at the gala, or I said when I was speaking that I was really active, like what was happening in Long Island was really affecting me, and I wanted to help somehow. And I reached out to the religious leaders of Boston, and I'm like, what do I do? And they were like, pray. And I'm like, I prayed, and I got an email saying that there was an opening at Spare Change News. So I felt like it was from above.
They got me a parking space and you a job at Spare Change News.
Yeah, exactly. Change. Yeah, so Jimmy has obviously has a lot of ties in Cambridge and local ties. You were a keynote speaker at Spare Change, the gala, the 23rd anniversary. Yeah. How did you get involved with Spare Change News?
I got involved through Vincent. I guess it was Vincent Flanagan. We met over the years, and actually I was doing a show at the Armory in Somerville 3 or 4 years ago, and was doing a Q&A with the audience, and a gentleman, Mark Goldfinger, was in the audience, and he's a vendor with Spare Change. Yeah. And he said, hey Jimmy, would you ever do a benefit? And it's like 300 people there. He goes, would you ever do a benefit for Spare Change? What am I going to say? No. No, make the homeless help themselves. I said, well, let me think about it, Mark. And I thought about it, and we contacted, and we got in touch, and over the course of the next couple of years, we were able to do this fundraiser over at the Armory in Somerville. And that's how I got to meet Vincent and worked with him on that. And they raised a decent amount of money for a Sunday afternoon show, and I think 2012, 2013. And then Vincent and I kept up the relationship. I tried to do some profit sharing this year when I did shows at the Sanders Theater with Spare Change, and they, we try to encourage the customers to make an additional donation that would go to benefit Spare Change. So we raised a few dollars for them that way last January, and then he called me up and asked me to do the gala, do the keynote, which was a lot of fun, really uplifting, inspiring. You were great in that.
Oh, gosh.
You really were, man. You really were. And all the speakers, Bob Herbert with the award, and Vincent Flanagan, and the vendors who spoke were really, really inspiring. And Marjorie Decker was great. She's always great at that. She's hosted that a few years in a row. And then doing the auction with everybody was a ball. Oh, we raised a lot of money in the auction, folks.
Yeah, Jimmy and Marjorie were doing the auction together, and it turned out they did a fantastic job. It was actually kind of more of a comedic show as opposed to an auction, but it turned out really fun. It was great. Yeah. So I gave money, which is
you did.
Weird. Yeah,
that's how good we were. Sam actually gave money.
I actually gave money, and I'm gonna
that he doesn't have money. He doesn't have.
Exactly.
That's how good we were as auctioneers.
I didn't have the money, but I said, you know what, this is a good cause because Jimmy convinced me. But so tell me, like, you're doing shows every Sunday night in Wellfleet. So how, like, what is that? And like, so it's part of your Humor for Humanity? Or?
Yeah, the first rollout of Humor for Humanity. You know, I went back to school 5 years ago. I went to the Kennedy School, and the whole time I was there, I was just amazed by the commitment of the people, the students there, and the faculty, in terms of trying to make social change, trying to improve society, trying to improve the world, and and they were all doing it in their own way. And I thought about it and thought about it. I said, I got to figure out a way to use entertainment and humor for purposes beyond just entertainment. So over the last 5 years since I've been out of there, I've been trying to figure out a way how to do that. And so far, I've come up with Humor for Humanity, which basically our mission is more than entertainment, raising spirits, funds, and awareness for nonprofits, charities, and social causes. Our mission, Sam, is your mission. Humor for humanity, humor in helping, humor in healing, humor and hope. Ha, ha, ha. And so that's our mission. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to use my shows for not all of them, but the ones that I can, that I have control over, for profit sharing, for profit sharing with nonprofits. So we're doing a series of shows this summer on the Cape in Wellfleet. And there's a church down there, the First Congo Church. It's a famous church. It's right in the middle of town. And I've done shows there over the years with Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky and Patty Larkin, and it's just a great venue. And anyway, so this year I'm renting it out on Sunday nights, and I have the leeway to do this type of a show which is profit sharing with nonprofits, and I'm really looking forward to it because it's a way, again, to try to use entertainment for purposes beyond just entertainment. And that's my goal right now, ladies and gentlemen.
And how is it going? I mean, has it been has it been difficult to launch this program?
You know what it is? It's a learning experience every time you do it. For example, when we did the Sanders Theater, the idea was, okay, we're asking the customer to pay a little more on top of the ticket price. Okay, so I think they were paying $10 and we were paying $5, the customer, so the nonprofit would get $15. But what happened is, for whatever reason, the customers were reluctant to pay. Either the website we didn't explain it well enough, or the website was too restrictive, or whatever it was, it just didn't materialize the way we had hoped it would. So this time what we're doing is we're charging $25 a ticket, and then when the customer picks any of the nonprofits that we're partnering with, they can allocate $5 of that $25 to the nonprofit. Right. And then there's a separate donation button, so if they want to add more, they can. Okay. So if somebody wants to, let's say we did it with Spare Change. Again, even though it's on the Cape, we could still do it with Spare Change. You know, Spare Change News, they get $5, an additional donation. So somebody could say, I want to give $20 to Spare Change on top of the $5, so they would get $25, and we would get the remainder of the ticket price. And that's kind of how it's working. And so this will be a big experiment down the Cape to see if that model can work better than, because it doesn't cost the customer any more money. Right. You know, it doesn't cost them, but they can allocate where they'd like a percentage of the money to go to, and if they want to donate more, they can.
Well, what's interesting is I'm actually working on my fourth book. It's Haunted Provincetown, so I'm actually in Provincetown a lot. It's right next to Wellfleet. Yeah. So how do you have a lot of experience with Wellfleet and the Cape?
I started going down there in '94. I moved back up from New York in '93, and '94 actually, and I went through a book of theaters in New England and was just calling them up, seeing where I could work, looking for work, and the What Theater down there, WHAT, the What Theater, Wellfleet Harbor Actors Theater, was a little 99-seat house right on the water. It was a former auto body shop that they converted, that Jeff Zinn, Howard's son, and Gip Hoppy, and a couple of other guys from the Cape, Kevin Rice, converted this garage into a theater. And, I just contacted them. I said, I'd love to do a show down there. And they said, sure, come on in. This was in '94. And I just kept doing it every year for like 20 years. and my wife and I were, eventually we got a place down there for the summers, and so we love it. We go every year, and I'm usually working when I'm down there, but I love it because the theater crowds, it's like people from Boston, New York, Canada, you know, great crowds, love to laugh. You got the locals from the Cape, and it's a really good audience for me and the type of humor I do.
Yeah, I was wondering if like because Wellfleet, I mean, there's a lot of tours, especially in the summer, that come and visit. So is there any issue with like not having enough people to go to the shows, or? No,
the shows are pretty well attended. Yeah. If anything, there's a lot of people down there. The shows are, you know, usually well attended, and but over the years, there's gotten more and more competition as well. But it's all good. You know, there's plenty of audiences to go around, and plenty of different types of shows. A lot of original theater down there now. There's a great theater company called the Harbor Stage Theater Company that is in the space of the old What Theater, right down there on the water, and they're doing great work, and that's run primarily by the actors and actresses. So
you're interested in getting tickets to Jimmy's show in Wellfleet. It's 7 p.m. every Sunday except for July 26th and August 9th. Yep. And is there a website? So jimmytingle.com?
That's it. jimmytingle.com.
jimmytingle.com.
Every Sunday night.
Yeah, I may show up there.
It's the comedy audience's form of church, ladies and gentlemen. You got to come there and get uplifted. I'm not going to give you communion, but I will hear your confession after the show if you want me to.
Speaking of confession, so Jim, when I first met Jimmy, so you were in the movie Boondock Saints, and like
yes.
People recognize you on the streets for that role as the priest.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen?
That happened because I was doing a one-man show in Los Angeles, you know, and I was out there and I was again, I always get in this habit of renting theaters for some reason. So I rent this theater down in West Hollywood, and I run for about 4 months. And the director of Boondock Saints, Troy Duffy, came into the show and just saw the show, and he said, "Listen, I'm doing a film." This is before, obviously, it was ever written or he had the right, you know, he was still in the formative stages. He said, "I'm doing a film, and I think you'd make a great priest because I'm filming it in Boston. I'd love you to play the priest in Boondock Saints." I said, "Okay, I've been in confession. I can give confession." So I do the scene with William Dafoe. And
yeah.
He's the drunk detective on the other side of the screen, and he's going, "Bless me, Father, if I have sinned. I've killed 19 people." I said, "That's okay." and the criminal at the same time got the gun to my head, and I'm trying to give him confession, you know. And so the criminal doesn't know. It's a wild scene, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. And people they come up to you, go, "You're the priest." I said, "Yes, I am." They go, "Will you hear my confession?" I said, "I will."
Gosh.
So we have fun.
Yeah, so that's weird because I thought people would recognize you from your stint on 60 Minutes too, but it seems like people recognize you more from that role.
It depends on the generation.
Yeah.
The kids, you know, the older generation, 60 Minutes, you know.
Yeah.
People over 50, 60 Minutes. People under, 40, Boondock Saints.
So, with that said, like what your experience with television, you've done it, like what are your thoughts on TV and sort of doing your shtick on television? Does it translate well?
There is no greater television show than Be Live from CCTV. 60 Minutes pales in comparison to Be Live. 60 Minutes, you look out the window, what do you see? You see Manhattan. What do you look out here? You see Central Square. You see parking. You see people riding, walking around, all sorts of people, going to the Middle East, going to the Cambridge Y, going across the street to the coffee shop. But the thing about, seriously though, what Be Live does and what CCTV does, it gives you the freedom to do whatever you want.
Right.
And that's something you can't get on, network television. And understandably so. It's a different set of economics, and it's costs millions of dollars to put on a show, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of freedom on cable television. So anything I can do to help keep CCTV alive, I'll be happy to do it, because it's giving people like spare change opportunities, give people like me opportunities. I had a show here last year that was a lot of fun, and it was kind of the beginning of trying to work out this media component to Humor for Humanity. So the nonprofits can actually get some exposure rather than just fundraiser.
Yeah, so speaking of that, so like you have webisodes, so are you filming webisodes at the party for?
I've done a few of them, yeah. They're on the website, at my website. We did one with Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys, and Kay, what's her name? Kay from the Letters to Cleo.
Oh, yeah, I forget,
Yeah.
but Letters to Cleo.
Yeah, the lead singer,
yeah.
Kay Hanley.
Hanley, yeah.
And she was the guest, and we were doing that on behalf of the Karen Treatment Centers, which is a series of treatment centers around the country. And Kay and they were both getting honorary degrees from the treatment centers, Lifetime Achievement Awards, for their participation in the Karen Treatment Centers, fundraising, etc. And Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys has done ton of work with his organization, the Clatter Fund. And so we did that, and that was an example of, interviewing the nonprofits, talking about their mission, talking about what they're doing, talking about their challenges, and also telling people you can come to this follow-up show that we're doing. At the time, I think it was in May, that we're doing over at the State Room in Boston. And that's what we did. So we used the show and the interviews to raise the profile of the organizations, and also to drive people to the website to hopefully get tickets to come to see the event that we were doing, the fundraiser.
So speaking of the Dropkick Murphys, we actually had Matt Kelly, who's the drummer of the Dropkick Murphys, on our cover.
I saw that. Excellent cover.
So we're like all kind of like tied together.
Yeah,
we also had Jimmy on our cover as well.
I don't know if they've seen that cover enough. You might want to put that up there on the screen there, Sam.
Yeah, I don't think wait, no.
Come on now. I know we can get it up here.
There it is.
Let's see. Now listen, 60 Minutes would never have me on the cover. I gotta come back to Cambridge to get on the cover of anything.
Well, it was a great cover. It actually sold out, so we're very happy. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Is that how you measure a cover? By how many it sells?
Yeah, I mean, we have sold out. If you like, this current edition, we have a shirtless guy, so yeah, that's going to probably sell well.
Oh, good.
He went half naked, and Jimmy. They both.
Good.
Yeah. But so yeah, you definitely, and we are changing sort of the format of Spirit Change News. We're making it. Before there was a sort of a homeless. Directed newspaper. We're really focusing on having celebrities who are advocates for various social justice causes.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and so we're kind of filling the void of what the Boston Phoenix was, and then hopefully people will respond to it and sort of see how the changing faces. And you're kind of like your cover was the beginnings of the change of editorial for Spirit Change.
Well, that's great. I'm honored to be associated with you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm going to tell you, that was exactly my line of thinking as well with Humor for Humanity. Try to get people who are already committed and just let them talk about what they do and why they do it.
Yeah.
And it's very compelling. The issues are compelling. The people are passionate about it, and it'll connect with people. It'll connect with people. So good work.
So what are you? Because you've been a lifelong Canterbury-ian. How has things changed here? I know that the scene, it's still progressive, it's still a lot of the things, but you kind of represent Cambridge to a lot of people. Has Cambridge changed?
It's always changing. Everything's always changing, first of all, and nothing's going to be like it was 50 years ago.
Right.
So it's changing in many, many ways for the better. Yeah. I mean, it just is. I mean, it is harder to get an apartment here and to live here, and I mean, on that level, and that's across the board. That's not just Cambridge. That's Boston, New York, San Francisco, any major city. That's just the way it is. The real estate prices are up. That being said, the tax base that Cambridge has, the amount of people, there is very few places in the world that have two world-class universities within 2 miles of each other, and several others across the river, and with all the other universities around, and the influx of people, the real diversity of people politically, racially, ethnically, religiously. It's just an awesome place. And so, has it changed? Yeah. A lot of when we were growing up, it was a much poorer city, quite frankly. And they didn't have the tax base that they have now. Like, none of the ball fields were nice when we were growing up. There was no grass. If you wanted grass, you went to Harvard, right? That's where you go to play football, tackle football. None of that I can recall. Most of the fields were. We grew up around St. Mary's, and there was no grass on the fields. There were no nice parks. I mean, not to knock it, but that's the way it was. And the priorities have changed with the city. The people have changed. The city government's much more responsive to people than they were when we were growing up. I mean, they did their best for that time, but things have evolved. So I don't think it's any good or bad. It's just it's much different, and it's definitely a world-class city, more than it ever has been.
Now, could you ever, back when you were playing in the fields of Harvard, imagine that you would end up being a student at Harvard?
No. I never did. And it was so, you know, Harvard was always, you know, there, but it was always, you weren't, unless you worked there, or, you know, some kids got to go to school there, you know, who did really well in school, because Harvard was always pretty generous with their outreach to the locals, you know. So if the kids were doing well and they could qualify to get in academically, there was a shot that you could go there. But for the most part, it wasn't as well integrated as it is now. It's much more integrated now because I think a lot of the people who are serving in state government or city government, for example, the city council, I mean, there's Ken Reeves who went there, and there's other members of the city council who have gone there and studied there. Marjorie Decker went to the Kennedy School, and she encouraged me to go to the Kennedy School, actually, about 5 or 6 years ago. And I always thought about, wow, the Kennedy School, that would be incredible. I didn't think I would ever qualify to get in, but she said, you know, they really want people from a variety of backgrounds.
Yeah.
Not just academics and not just public policy people. And so she encouraged me to to fill out an application, which I did, and I was amazed when I got in. I couldn't believe it, but I was so happy because I always was on the outskirts, and it was so cool to be actually inside and break down that kind of barrier that you feel sometimes of, like, you know, the town gown thing, you know. I think that wall's come down a great deal in recent years, and the students and the professors were incredibly unelitist. I don't even know if unelitist is a word. Okay, and I should know that because I went to Harvard. That's right. I should know whether or not unelitist is a word, but they're not. They're not elitist. I didn't find that. I found them very down to earth, very welcoming, encouraging, wanting to help, and wanting to do more in the community, which I found was really nice.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you got in, and it was amazing that you, I don't know, like you got a whole inspiration for this humor for humanity while going to school.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, Sam, the people there, this is the thing. You can come in, you know, you can come in like far left or far right, and you meet people there who are all over the map politically. So you're going to school with people who are CEOs and, you know, human rights organizers on this side, CEOs and the special forces in Iraq and Afghanistan, and human rights organizers, and then city council people from Cambridge and Somerville and Boston, and public policy people and Navy SEALs, and you got this, and people who worked in the Bush White House.
Wow.
And so I'm befriending people who I never would normally meet, you know, usually, and didn't travel in the same circles. And it was very uplifting and positive because you're seeing the human connection with people. And you're not just judging them like, oh, you work for the Bush administration. I can't talk to you because I didn't vote for Bush. You know, it's not like that. It's like, it's a much more compatible and integrated place. And so it opened, in my case, it just opened my mind to different ways of thinking and more accepting of people. And also the people from other countries that were there, they're all going back to these countries. A lot of them are so challenging. They're challenged around water and electricity and food distribution and disease and, you know, basics, you know, a lot of them. And those people going back into those situations to try to, you know, create a better society. And the same thing with the Israelis and the Palestinians. All we do here is read about Israeli and Palestinians. At the Kennedy School, they have real Israelis and real Palestinians. And it's a beautiful thing. And they all got along, folks. We actually did a comedy show with Israelis and Palestinians.
Oh, gosh.
It was a blast. It was a blast.
So we're going to actually play a clip from explaining Jimmy's Humor for Humanity.
My new adventure is a social enterprise that I call Humor for Humanity. You know, I've been a comic for over 30 years. I love doing it. And over the years, I've got asked to do a lot of fundraisers, charity events. I want to create a business that actually helps nonprofits and charities do what they're trying to do. And I got the idea for Humor for Humanity at the Kennedy School. I was in one of the classes, and one of the guest speakers said, do what you're uniquely qualified to do in this world. Do what you're uniquely qualified to do. So what am I uniquely qualified to do? Well, I tell jokes, I hopefully make people laugh, I hopefully make them think, and I hopefully make them feel better. So what I want to do is I want to create this business idea, this social enterprise called Humor for Humanity. Humor for Humanity, more than entertainment. raising spirits, funds, and awareness for nonprofits, charities, and social causes. Our mission is your mission. Humor for humanity. Humor in helping. Humor in healing. Humor and hope. Ha ha. My new
Welcome back to Spirit Change News TV. Again, I'm Sam Baltrusis, and this is Jimmy Tingle. So Jimmy,
Hello, America.
So any closing thoughts? We're getting toward the end of our show.
I want to thank you, Sam, for having me on, but more importantly, thank you for the great work you're doing with Spare Change. You're taking the newspaper to another level. You're breaking ground with it. You're very innovative, and I love the idea of getting the celebrities involved, or people who people know, as an advocate for the newspaper and for their own social causes. So I think it's great what you're doing, you and Vincent, and I'll see all the vendors out there. And if you want me on the cover next year, we need a new picture, but I'll do it.
Yeah, we'll have Jimmy Tingle on the cover again. This time shirtless. No, kidding. I'm just kidding. But so Jimmy, I have so much respect for you, and thank you for I don't know, just for being there, and also for giving a voice to the community. And I think that you've been with a humorous point of view, and like you're political, but yet you're not overly political. And even like at our at the gala, you were amazing. So I have a lot of respect for you and what you're doing.
And vice versa, my brother.
Because I've seen Jimmy grow over the years.
I used to be 5'1", and I'm now 5'6".
He grew physically and intellectually, but just an amazing person, and you're a strong example of someone who's able to reinvent your career, but yet still be true to yourself.
Well, thank you. And we're still in the inventing mode, ladies and gentlemen, with the Humor for Humanity. If anybody's interested in maybe partnering with us, come to the website, jimmytingle.com, and we fill out the booking form, and maybe there's something we can do together.
And hopefully, Spare Change News will also team up with Jimmy as well in the coming year, because I think it's a really good fit with what we're both doing. So,
absolutely.
Again, if you want more information, go to jimmytingle.com, and Jimmy's going to be in Wellfleet every Sunday at 7 p.m., except for 2 dates that we mentioned earlier. And if you want more information about Jimmy and to read the cover story about Jimmy, it's sparechangenews.net. Thank you so much.
Sparechangenews.net.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy, and
Thank
everyone. Again, have a great night, and see you next Monday at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.